Good morning. How are you? Today is Friday and September 29th, and I'm here to answer your questions. Most of the questions are coming from readers of You Are the Universe, Discovering Your Cosmic Self and Why It Matters. And I thank you very much for supporting this book. But you can actually send me any question on any topic, and I'll do my best to share my response with you. I answer questions daily. They end up in a queue, and I answer them in the order that they are received. So the questions can be sent to info, I-N-F-O, at jayo.com. info@jayo.com, info at jayo.com. Once again, you can send me your questions to the following address: info at jayo.com. Okay, so today's question and answer is in response to two emails from Salongo Clawbater. Salongo Clawbater, who's very active on these social networks, on my Twitter page and also here. And she has two long questions. Let me read them and then I'll give you my response. So her first email, Salongo's first email, says people need to stop serving when they show significant traumas such as PTSD that former and current service members and law enforcement members exhibit. I have been observing it energetically, and therefore if we want to eliminate suffering, it is wise to create new opportunities for military members here and abroad. Divine feminine energy can help. Please advise the world. Also, on the opioid crisis, I know nobody just wakes up in the morning and decides to become homeless. So at least it is important to understand emotions of people so that we stop dwelling on negative emotions. It is time to combat with ego's selfish desires. And then she has another email. She says, I just got done with a few calls today as a phone interpreter. My native language is Mongolian, and it is one of the dying languages. Today, during a call, I experienced energetic frustration along with the hospital staff with whom I was speaking. It is occasional. I know some of the clients are illegal immigrants, and doctors and nurses need to be mindful on connecting with clients as well as show respect to interpreters who are transmuting energies over the phone and doing their best. Also, I'll be managing social media websites for Russians and Chinese people who are looking to migrate here. I'm not sure how the process will turn out, but the truth is, if we cannot eliminate suffering collectively, why would we want to have more immigrants here to discriminate and bully them energetically? I won an entrepreneurship scholarship from military and veterans, but targeting officers took it away. So meanwhile, I do my best to translate, interpret, and offer love and compassion in person and over the phone where is exactly where I am. Okay, first of all, thank you, Salongo, for those questions. And secondly, I also congratulate you for being so active on these websites and engaging in these conversations. And you have often expressed your frustration with the negative energies that you encounter. And right now we see a lot of negativity in the world as well. A lot of negativity in the world as well. This negativity is being expressed in our political discourse at the moment. It's being expressed in the arrogance and bullying of world leaders from everywhere, from Russia, from China, from North Korea, from the United States, from the Middle East. So we can see the bullying attitude in world leaders. This negativity is also being expressed as war, which is going on everywhere. It is being expressed in the media and on television and social media with trolls. And it is manifesting as a suffering world. Lot of suffering, lot of violence, lot of violence to other species, lot of violence to Mother Earth, climate change, and of course extreme social and economic injustice. And so a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, and a lot of grievances, a lot of hostility, and also a lot of guilt, shame, humiliation, and ultimately a lot of depression. We have to be honest, that's the world situation at the moment. But now, let's go back to fundamentals. Whatever the world situation is, it is impossible to blame anyone, because in the deeper reality, everyone is doing the best they can from their level of consciousness. So the only way actually to shift what is happening in the world, and we agree that it is a lot of suffering, collective suffering, homeless people, people incarcerated in jails, the suffering of immigrants. I could go on for a long time, but that is not what we want to do. I think we can only say this is the projection of our collective consciousness. And at the deepest level, everyone is doing their best from their level of consciousness. But what can we do? What can we do individually, and what can we do collectively to shift this, as you say, energetically? And the first thing is to shift your own energy. So I can read frustration in your emails, and even some resentment in your emails. So first thing is to look at your own self. And everything that we feel inside us, whether it's frustration or resentment or a grievance, then it adds a little bit to the collective frustration, resentment, and grievances, no matter what. Sometimes we say, I am morally outraged. And you can see that even that is a kind of a contradiction. To be morally outraged is still to be in rage. And so therefore, if you think that your rage is justified on moral grounds, then you are justifying adding to the turbulence that is in the world. So I don't like the word morally outraged either. So, what is the solution? The solution is to get in touch with our innermost being. And when we get in touch with our innermost being, which is beyond our mind. So our mind is not our being. Our mind is just the conditioning our being has assumed as a result of culture and history economics and religion and even philosophy or theology or even science. Those are all aspects of the conditioned mind. But when we learn to transcend, when we learn to go beyond the secret passages and the dark alleys and the ghost-filled attics of our mind, we find a place of total peace, simple awareness, simple creativity, true love. Love not as a sentiment or an emotion, but love as truth. Over here we spontaneously find compassion, and we find empathy, and we find joy no matter what is happening, and we find peace and equanimity. And that is what then radiates from us, like light from a bonfire or light from the sun, denied to none, and not necessarily focused on anyone, just the nature of our true self and true being. So let me come back to this after 15 seconds, because this is a very important issue and we need to tackle it. So a while ago, by the way, my friend George Harrison, the late George Harrison, who was one of the Beatles, he wrote a song called The Rising Sun. And he said, universe at play inside your DNA, you're 1 billion years old today. He also said, in the hall of mirrors, you can see for miles, and everyone there is you in disguise. The rising sun is an opportunity for us to recreate the world. But in order to recreate the world, we have to let the old projection die. So creativity involves a death and a resurrection. And in order to get there, we have to actually become aware that everything that we experience in our everyday reality is a result of our conditioning. And once you do that, then you start asking yourself questions like, who am I? What do I want? What's my purpose? What is my contribution? What kind of world do I want to live in? And what will I do? What actions will I do? What actions will I perform in order to actualize this vision that I have? How will I feel? How will I think? How will I speak? And what actions will I take? And who will I connect with in order to make this dream come true? Because when you dream by yourself, it's just a dream. But when you dream with others, with whom you share emotional and spiritual bonds, then the dream becomes reality. So if we want to create a new reality, we have to dream collectively. And we have to dream that way and share it with each other. We must share our dreams with each other. We must bond with each other emotionally and spiritually. And we must take action, both in speech but also in doing, together. Because love without action is meaningless, and action without love is irrelevant. But when there is love in action, then we can transform the world. Okay, so today let's all, each of us, ask ourselves, what in me is adding turbulence in the world. And then let's that particular aspect of our existence die. Let it go. Do a ritual and bury that aspect of yourself which is adding turbulence to the world. Bury it. Say, been there, done that. Let it go. And then start anew. Start anew by asking yourself, every time you choose, asking yourself, what is my motivation for this choice? Ask yourself, is my motivation coming from selfish needs, for importance, for validation, for power, for control, or is my motivation coming from love? Now, if you just take a moment to ask yourself this, reflect on this, and you observe yourself as you make your choices, you will transform. This is the highest intelligence, to observe yourself having an experience and observe yourself making a choice. Highest intelligence. Because in the mere observation of your experiences and in the mere observation of your choices, not only will you transform, people around you will transform. Not by what you necessarily say or do, although that will have a lot of impact, but your presence. Your presence will bring peace to all who are around you. So going back to your situation so long ago, when you're on the phone, stay grounded in being. Doesn't matter what the other person is saying or what the other person is feeling. If you stay grounded in the presence of being, then you will change that conversation and you will change the other. Even though you're on the phone, your presence will be felt. So remember that great saying, I think it was Emerson who said, who you are shouts so loudly in my ears and in my being that I cannot hear what you're saying. Who you are obscures what you're saying. So people say a lot of things, from cunning hypocrisy, which I know is a judgment, but you can tell by their body language. You can tell by the look in their eyes, the tone in their voice, the expression in their face, their gestures. So don't be fooled by appearances. Nobody is fooled by appearances, by the way. Ground yourself in being. That is the advice from the Bhagavad Gita. Yogast Kuru Karmani. Established in yoga. Yoga means union with the self. Perform action. Established in being, feel. Established in being, reflect. Established in being, speak. Established in being, take action. This is self-power. This is self-power. It is not agency power. It is basically the power of your being, the power of what we call the soul. Yogastha Kuru Karmani. That's right, Ramanand. Thank you for correcting my pronunciation. Okay, so this is, I hope, helpful, not only to Salongo, but to everyone else. Until tomorrow, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. And we're in this together. We're in this together. Through our collective transformation, we can create a more peaceful, more just, more sustainable, and healthier world. Thank you and have a wonderful day.